Are you wondering if it's better for you to rent or to buy a house in Lafayette? Well, today we're going to break down and compare the rental market to the housing market, including all of its costs, so you can decide if it's better for you to rent or to buy a home right now. Hey there, I am Abshire. I'm your local realtor here in Lafayette, Louisiana, and I create videos about what it's like to live here in Lafayette. If you're moving or if you have questions, just make sure to please reach out to me. Me and my team would love to connect with you and help you. Let's get into it. Overall, where is the Lafayette market right now compared to where it's been the past few years? Well, if we look at the data and we look at the statistics of everything that's happening, well, we know since COVID, we had a rush that had a lot of people buying up homes. Well, when the rates came back up nice and high, that always deters buyers from jumping in. So because of that, we really were seeing prices steadily climbing. Then over the past year, they've really come to somewhat of a screeching halt with the economy and just things being so different. A lot of people, it frightened buyers. High prices of homes, high fees of everything, high interest rates. So everything kind of made a perfect storm for the market to come to really a slowdown from what we've seen, not a crash as some had predicted. So far, we're seeing lots of people are getting used to the rates that we have here, and we're seeing it to start to level out. We haven't seen much of a difference in any of the price ranges coming down. We've seen them holding pretty steady or maybe just slightly under from where they were, but no deep dipping or no major crash as some had predicted that we might have seen. If you look at what it's showing as far as the growth and where are things headed over the next year or so, we can really say we are sitting pretty well. It's still looking like a healthy area. The job market is doing really well here. We know the oil economy is doing well. We have lots of new businesses and new growth that have been moving in. So we're a rapidly expanding city, and it's very, very exciting for the opportunities that the city has out for everyone. But is that a good thing or a bad thing for potential buyers or renters? A buyer always wants to see a city that is thriving because they know that their investment is going to continue to grow over time. So if you make the decision to purchase, it's always great to know that you're buying something in a city that is continuing to climb and that you're going to have more equity as you sit on that property. Can we always guarantee that's going to happen? Well, no, there's many factors I think that play a part of that, such as whether or not you take care of the home, the neighborhood in particular that you go into, because certain areas don't appreciate as much as others. For renters, obviously, healthy market can actually be somewhat of a downturn for them, right? Because more investors may be buying more properties and they may be skyrocketing their rents, or if people are having a hard time purchasing, then they have to stay renters. What we've seen recently, I would say, is that for the rental market, it's actually not been as wild as it has been the past few years. This past year, I noticed that there were more homes available on the market, and some properties that have been for rent have been sitting for longer, and some of the prices have even come down just slightly. So I would say for a renter's market, it actually hasn't been as strong as it had been in the past. And that just goes to show with the economy, people are cutting back. Things are expensive, so people are being much smarter with how they are spending their rent money. So keep those things in mind. If we're talking about renting versus buying costs, what exactly are we looking at? Well, the average cost of renting an apartment or home in the Lafayette area, you can say is going to be anywhere around $1,100 to maybe $1,200 for your average, maybe 1-2 bedroom apartment, depending, of course, on its location, depending on how modern it is. If you get more bedrooms, more space, more amenities within the apartment complex, or if it's a private use facility, all those things will really change, the pricing and what you're going to see as far as your expenses and your cost goes. If you are going to rent a home in the area, in a single family homes, you'll see renting anywhere from the top of that apartment budget, which would be $1,200 and above. On average, I would say a single family home you're going to see renting for probably around $1,500. But I have seen some very nice newer homes being rented for as little as $1,600 or $1,700. When you go outside of the city limits, you open yourself up to loans such as our USDA Rural Development Loan. and that one allows you to finance the entire property. Even if, let's say, you do a USDA loan and it's 100% financing, or a VA loan, you still have closing costs that needs to be covered, inspection fees, there may be HOA fees involved, you have electricity, you have maintenance. So you have to remember all these other fees they pay for, maybe some of the amenities as well that are wrapped up in. So that comes with the benefits of having the maintenance done for you and all of the things that really can kind of take your mind off of the worry. You have to keep, of course, insurance for in case a storm comes through. All of those things are things that you would want to keep in mind with the overall cost, and make sure that the cost is going to make sense for you. But whether you're looking to rent or buy, you really have to be very strategic about the locations that you're trying to pick. There are some locations in town that are very close. They will have some walkability. There's some parks that are nearby, and then there's others that won't be so close. They can be deep into neighborhoods or further outside of town, which would require a commute to get to those types of things. Now, of course, there's always the lifestyle aspects and the community benefits that you give of renting versus buying. Some communities do offer things like a community pool, or there may be fishing ponds. That's something that's very common in this area. Maybe some walking trail. Some things that you'll get with an apartment that would be upgrade is you can have different recreation areas. You may have a pool or tanning area, barbecue areas, hangout spaces. They even have rental spaces that you can use for private events. All these different benefits that do come with apartment living. And of course, you don't have any exterior work to really worry about. You really just worry about the inside of your apartment and maybe your balcony area. But if you know that Lafayette is the place for you and you really have that home ownership dream, then you might want to consider purchasing a property. If you're smart and if you buy something that is in good shape, then you don't have to worry about some of those maintenance issues that could come up. Now, what is the long-term versus short-term? So there are a few things to keep in mind. Short-term, there is a few benefits. Everything's pretty much done for you. There's a lot less headache. You feel like you don't have so much responsibility that's laid on you, and you can really just kind of decide how long you want to stay. You can pick up and go. Whereas we know with buying, it's much more planting some roots, much harder process to not only get into, to take care of, but to get out of as well. So it's more of a long-term commitment. But with renting, you always have to remember you're paying someone else's note for them. Whoever invested in that building or in this apartment complex or whatever, they are the ones who are paying the mortgage on that, but you are helping them pay that mortgage. But that's the benefit of you stopping and thinking, well, maybe I want to buy because I want to be that type of investor. I want to own a tangible property that I know is going to build equity over time, and I'm going to have an asset that is really worth something at the end of the day. And the good thing is I have lots of service providers from the area that I recommend to help you keep your home up properly as well. So always feel free to reach out to me. I'm glad to pass on some names to you of trustworthy individuals that will care for your home just like the way you do. Now, of course, if you're focused on long-term, make sure to give me a call because I would love to be able to help you set up that strategy to make that dream a reality. Now, let's talk a bit about inflation. We've heard a lot about that over the past few years. So a lot of people think renting versus buying. What does that look like for inflation? Well, we know with rent, inflation is always going to be a part of that, right? Rent is going to directly be affected by inflation. If everything gets more expensive to upkeep the costs, then of course inflation is going to drive your rent up, because for them, in order to continue for the landlord to make a profit, they always have to make sure that their rents stay high enough. Now, the great thing about owning a home is that your note will stay the same over the years. The only thing that can possibly change and will change with time is your insurance cost. To hold insurance costs for your home as your home ages, what an insurer will look at is those things, and they may start to change the price of your homeowner's insurance and start to hike it year over year. But the rise is not majorly high expected like some rents can be. So when the market rises unexpectedly, of course, that can cause rents to spike, and rents can raise very, very rapidly. Whereas with a home, you are pretty much guaranteed knowing what your note is going to be and where it could possibly go. Because if insurance does rise, the beautiful thing is you can always shop for another insurance company, compare rates, and always find the best rates. I actually usually try to recommend people to shop their homeowner's insurance at least once a year to make sure that they are not overpaying. According to the website NerdWallet, it actually looks like market trends for the rental market are going to continue increasing. We see that the rental prices in the US were slightly below pandemic averages in 2024, but they're still higher than they were before the pandemic. And then we have also seen rent increases 3.4% from May 2023 to May 2024. It's slower than the major spikes of 2022, but however, some say that rent prices are expected to continue to rise in 2024 because of the limited supply and also the increased demand. So you can absolutely expect that you will continue to see those changes in your rent as you continue to live there. So, renting or buying in Lafayette. Yes, it's a big decision, but remember, there's no one size that fits all, right? There's no perfect answer. The perfect choice just depends on you, your unique lifestyle, the financial goals that you have, and any personal preferences. If you're finding yourself really not convinced about moving here, well, check out our other videos, and you can feel free to reach out to us with any questions. You know we would love to help y'all. And if you're thinking about buying a home anywhere in Lafayette and you want us to work out some numbers with you to see if it makes sense for you, well, make sure to give us a call, DM, or text us. Send me an email. We'd love to help you and be that local resource for you, just as we have for many others. So thank you guys so much for tuning in this week, and I will catch you in next week's video.